Hello, you're watching The Mainstream. I'm Khushbu Soni, the founder of The Mainstream. Today, on a topic of a decade of renaissance, connectivity, growth, and sustainability, where we will have dialogues with visionaries from GCC who are shaping the sector in India. And I am thrilled to invite our guest. We have Yatish Shivaprasad, the managing director and the head of corporate functions technology for India and Romania at Society General. Society General is one of Europe's largest financial services group with over 2 decades of experience for Yatish, driving leadership experience in IT and general management. Yatish has been a key figure in driving innovation, strategy, and transformation within the global capability centers. He has been leading a team of 1,400 plus professionals overseeing the development and enhancements of corporate applications. He's also being, very passionate about leveraging data, analytics, and human psychology to create value. Yatish has championed multiple projects across AI, ML, big data, and traditional technology stacks. Yatish, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm really looking forward to having this conversation.
Thank you, Khushbu. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Superb. Yatish, I wanted to, put my first question. You've been in the industry for 2 decades, your journey both in IT and general management has evolved over the years, right? So if you can tell us particularly about your role in Society General and the leadership you bring to the GCCs.
Okay, so as you rightly said, Khushbu, so with 2 decades of a multitude of experience, working with GCCs, startups, service companies before, it's a rounded experience, I would say, that I have. And specifically speaking about GCC, I think the journey in the last 15 years that I have had with the Society General Group, it's been accelerating. The reason why I say that is, because I've seen the way we have transformed as a GCC itself. As you're aware, the word GCC was not even existing, 3 years ago, right? We are called now a capability center. What we earlier started off as an offshore center, then, we evolved into a solution center. Now we call ourselves as a capability center. So if you really see the journey, and I've seen it firsthand, to being a back office to the group, to really being the capability center for the group, right? This itself demonstrates the fact that we as a industry, a GCC industry, have evolved over the last decade. Add to that mix is the digital transformation, because that is something, that we saw in between 2014 and 15. It was a game changer. Yeah. As a group, when we started to embark on digital transformation, when we had to look at new generation skills, when we had to look at a multitude of talent across the geographies, this is where we had to play a larger role in terms of a GCC. And this has been my experience. And when you work in a bank for such a long time, you get to see all kinds of experiences, starting from what is a front office to what is a back office, because I work in a bank. You get that entire exposure of how a bank works. In a bank as mammoth as Society General, it's never-ending learning experience, I would say.
Superb. That's really great. And, like you mentioned, a bank which is very well known in the industry with, I think, almost 150 plus years of existence in the world. I wanted to also understand its India operations, if you can give us a little bit of understanding there.
Yeah. In India, we operate as an offshore center, the place where I come from. And the offshore center in India, we have 2 locations, primarily in Bangalore, the second one in Chennai, which houses nearly 12,000 professionals. And the center is not just IT, it's IT and all the business processes that we do for the group. So when we look at the evolution of Society General in India, what we started off as a back office for Asia operations and IT, we have expanded our horizon, and today it's a group capability center, which means we support the work that we do for AMER, the work that we do for Europe, where our head office is in France, the work that we do for Asia. And what we started off as, pockets of work to do across the value chain, today we get to do end-to-end work on both IT as well as business process. So this has been the journey of Society General in India.
Fantastic. And Pratish, you leading the function, of the entire offshore in India and Romania as well. You oversee the large team driving key technological initiatives, like you mentioned. How do you ensure that digital transformation aligns to both business goals and global IT strategies?
Yeah, a very good question. See, when we derive our strategy, it starts with a group CEO, right? What is the vision that he's got for the group? And if you've seen, what is the commitment that he's given in the Capital Markets Day, which happened almost 1.5 years ago, there's been a commitment that we have given in a bank to say we will be the best, one of the best bank in the top quartile. When we put an ambition like that, it spawns into many dimensions of how we look at our businesses, a dimension of how we run our operations most efficiently, a dimension of how we can leverage IT as an enabler, a dimension of how best we can offer our services with minimal cost, and how the GCC can play a role here. So the strategy actually boils down from that vision. And for us, as I said, we have been in the space of transforming digitally for the group since 2015. What started off in pockets, now the digital transformation strategy is the heart and soul of whatever we do within the bank. Because this is the kind of experience that we want to give to our end users, our consumers, our corporate clients, right? Our retail clients, our private clients. This is experience that we want to give, best in class experience. So while we embark on that at the offshore center, when I work with my other peers for the corporate IT, we embed these elements of the strategy in our day-to-day work, in our day-to-day activities, in the day-to-day projects and the programs that we execute to be able to give the best-in-class IT experience for our business partners.
Wonderful. Superb. You also mentioned about the growth of GCCs, like you mentioned in the last 10 years, where it was just an outsourcing or an offshoring center, right? To now being the profit centers, driving P&L as well in India. A lot of, GCCs has evolved, and we've seen the whole journey of GCCs evolve in these years. How do you see it's shaping the business operations worldwide, in your opinion, and what are the core elements that can make GCCs successful in driving innovation? How do you see them evolving, say, in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's a very impressive story. The story that started 2-3 years ago, and story that we will see in the future. If you really see, as of today, we have I think nearly 1,700 plus GCCs in India. We call us as capability center, nearly 2 million people working there. And if you really see what we started off as a back office center executing work, we have started to move slowly to start to take up global roles. When I say global role, it means that anybody who is stationed in the GCC is actually playing a role which is implied for the entire group, right? And the way I see it, in the next 5 years or so, we will increase the number of global roles to by nearly 6 times, a minimum of 6 times. What we start off as maybe a handful of global roles, maybe 200 or 300, we're going to reach nearly 2,000. This is my anticipation, right? What you asked in the question is also very important, right? Earlier, when we started to work in GCCs, okay, we create a lot of ideas, a lot of innovation themes. We say this is the best way you can do the activities. This is the best way you can develop a product or a project using the technology. And if you really take this aspect, technology itself means what is the talent pool that we have here, right? One of the statistics that I was reading, Khushbu, nearly 5 million graduates are actually getting added to the technology sector. right? Year on year. And, the number keeps increasing.
Yeah.
So here comes the large talent pool that we have, and you enable this talent pool on the technology. And this is where this pool can bring in a lot of disruptions. And why disruptions are positive? Because for banks like us, which are in the industry for nearly 160 years, a lot of processes over a period of time becomes legacy. A lot of processes, are built on top of layer by layer on top of each other. It has to be optimized. There has to be a different way of doing things. There has to be the most efficient way of doing things. And GCC, by being not just a capability center, but also a convergence center, I would say, can actually bring about this commonality of how we run the processes across different geographies. And this is applicable to any bank, right? Not just us, any bank. How do you bring in homogeneity of the process? And once you bring in the homogeneity of the process, then you leverage technology and the innovation that we want to bring to disrupt the process, to make it optimized, to make it the best in class, to make it a very user-centric. These are the levers that we will look at in the GCCs. So very impressive story, because, if I look at, next 5 years, it will be nearly 2,500, 3,000 GCCs across all the space. And one big change also that we will see is the number of patents that will come out of the GCCs.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are a lot of product companies which are setting up GCCs in India. And we would anyway see what we have seen, till now is about 300 odd patents.
Yeah.
But what we will see in the future, I think we will hit 1,000 or 1,200, something like that. So we will be the driver and the change maker for our head offices and the group companies.
Absolutely. And that's why we all say, right, this next 5 years to 10 years is going to be very big for GCCs, and they're going to be the change makers, and hence our topic, which is a decade of renaissance. So Yatish, you've led several cutting edge initiatives in areas such as AI, ML, big data, UI, UX. How do you envision the role of emerging technologies in enhancing GCC operations and maintaining a competitive edge?
Okay. So firstly, technology is an enabler.
Yeah.
Second, by being an enabler, it always brings in the best. That's what I believe, right? Best to do the best possible service that we can provide to our consumers, our clients, depending on the nature of the GCC that we are in. Going back on the previous question, that will also help us to develop patents, which is the market differentiator, right? If you really look at it, what can differentiate ourselves from the rest of the world is what is the new product or the service that we can offer leveraging this technology, right? So bringing in patents, bringing in the cutting edge technology in the work that we do is clearly a differentiator. And what it will also help us is to envisage or even anticipate a bit more in the future to say, if I bring in this technology and this idea to fructification, then it will disrupt the market. Today, the fintechs are existing in the market because of this disruption, right? There are banks which are disappearing to give way for online banking services because of this disruption, right? So I clearly feel and I believe that this technology can bring in a lot of disruptions. But what we need to keep in mind while technology disrupts this whole space, at least I can speak for BFSI segment. And I do read a lot about what's happening in healthcare, what's happening in, the consumer electronics, what's happening in e-commerce, right? Today, it's clearly and not just the enabler, but also the disruptor to the fact that it sometimes can help the users decide what they have not even experienced. Just to give you an example, I might like a black suit, right? But that is what I used to like in the past. But leveraging the technology on an e-com, you can actually figure out, maybe a pink suit suits me. And, it can envision in a 3D mechanism to say, how do I look if I wear a pink suit?
Yeah.
Right? You see the...
Absolutely.
Yeah, you see the way the technology can change somebody's preference, aspirations, and what they want to even be in the future. So this is where it's guiding. And I believe why we do all of that, coming back to a regulated space like banks for us, we need to really take a measured step, because while we can use a disruption of technology, if we just lap it up without doing a good due diligence, it can actually shake up our fundamentals, and that's a bit of I would say, the flip side of leveraging this technology at a faster pace.
True, very true, Yatish. Superb. Yatish, you are going to be joining us on 6th of March for our GCC Convert Summit. If you can tell us, what are you hoping to share with the fellow leaders and speakers regarding the future of digital transformation within GCCs, and what do you believe the summit's impact will be on the sector moving forward? Your thoughts?
Okay, so I think it's very interesting conclave, because when I look at the lineup of all the speakers and the participants which you have been publishing, very interesting lineup, because this is firstly to share experiences with them. And I would really want to take this opportunity to meet the leaders in the respective spaces. Secondly, to see and discuss and to share a bit of a thought process of where GCC can head toward to in the next 5 years or so. How does the strategy gets applied in GCC, and what is the strategic direction that we can take in GCC? How digital transformation is shaping up their respective industries, I would say. And how do we build the next frontier for the GCC? Whether it's in the space of deep tech, whether it's a space of sustainability, or even the growth of IPs, that we were discussing, right? While keeping all of that, I also want to understand a bit more and to share also with other participants, how does the regulatory environment play a role? How does the policy making bodies such as the government play a role in the journey of GCCs in the next few years?
Absolutely. We're looking forward to having conversations and really create an impact, by driving these discussions within the GCC sector. And Bangalore is our first edition, and I'm really excited to meeting you and all the other speakers at the event. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Yatish, joining us today as well as on 6th of March. Look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Khushbu, and I'm really looking forward to this event, and happy to meet you, happy to meet your team, and happy to meet all the leaders, that are coming to the conclave.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.